What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, let me tell you the good and also the bad. I thoroughly enjoyed myself with boxing. There were some bad moments. I'll try to get to them. I'm probably going to do this out of order. As far as Jerry Belmontes and Omar Figueroa, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. Very close fight, close for different reasons. I thought Belmonte should have won that fight. I thought he was more accurate. He had like the nicer shots. Figueroa, he remained aggressive through a large volume, but some of them didn't look as impactful. He looked frustrated at times that Belmontes was employing the sweet science and not slugging it out like Arakawa did with him in Omar Figueroa's last fight. Any way you slice it, 118 to 110 is a fucking bullshit scorecard. That should have never been for that fight. I don't care if Omar Figueroa had it by a closer margin or Jerry Belmontes. I have my personal opinion. I think Belmontes did enough to win. But either way, it was a close fight. So 118 to 110, that's like some shutout shit. Like like Belmontes didn't even show up. Then the John Molina and Lucas Matisse fight. A lot of you guys don't know boxing. You guys said John Molina was going to get washed up in the first round. You said he had no chance. I don't know if some of you guys realize how big, like if you just seen him like in the face-off, even though he went on to lose the fight, in the face-off, he looked like significantly bigger than Lucas Matisse. Plus, Lucas was off of a long layoff, and they both have power, so it was a sensational fight. I'm going to make a separate video about that, but definitely a Fight of the Year candidate. And then I want to talk about, mostly in this video, Keith Thurman versus Julio Diaz. Not much to talk about at the fight. I will say in the opening rounds, Keith Thurman looked very crisp, like he was throwing some crispy shots, and you can hear like it looked like he brought some more speed into it, because you can hear like tss, tss, like you can hear that sound when he would land shots, and he's just very authoritative with the way he punches. He looked good in there. I was upset with the way the whole shit ended. I'm not Julio Diaz, but he was complaining he had trouble breathing. And I mean, I get it, but it's just as a boxing fan, that's not how you want to see a fight like that end, because Julio Diaz quit on the stool after the third round, and that was his best round. That was his best round of the whole fight, and he looked good and looked like he might have buzzed or got Keith Thurman's attention, and that's the round in which he calls it quits or whatever and says he can't continue. So, like I said, I was at the gym one time and I pulled, I don't know what the fuck I did. I was squatting and doing hella shit. So, I don't know what the fuck, but I'm sure I pulled something in my rib, and there was a sharp pain in, like when I would breathe in, like if I would take deep breaths, it felt like there was a hole in my shit. So the rib injuries are no joke, and it's just unfortunate because as a boxing fan, we're greedy and we're selfish and we don't give a fuck about injuries. If you're not knocked out, we want to see you continue. So it just sucks, man, because the fight was coming on. Julio Diaz had his best round, in my opinion. I don't know if he did enough to win the round, but needless to say, it was his best round. Keith Thurman was looking sharp before that. So it's just unfortunate that it ended on the power punchers, hard hitter card, that we didn't get to see an actual TKO or see Keith Thurman take flush shots or see if he could have knocked Julio Diaz out, who's a game veteran. Because I was really using this fight as a barometer to gauge Keith Thurman, how he fights Julio Diaz versus the two Sean Porter fights, and also the Amir Khan catchweight fight. So I thought this would be a good barometer. If it would have ended in a conventional way, I thought this would be a good barometer to really assess where Keith Thurman is. The only downside really to me on Keith Thurman's performance, I think sometimes he gets so overconfident and so he's trying to live up to the one-time name and the knockout artist image that he's built, which is good. You know what I mean? It's entertaining for the fans, but he puts himself in some like predicaments and harm's way because he gets a little bit sloppy and he gets a little wild. Like, it's weird to see. He shows composure, and I've seen a lot of growth and maturity in his fight game. Because when I first seen him, I was like, damn, I was like, he's like, he has power, but he's wild and sloppy, and he worked on his technique a lot. But every so often, I see him revert back to how I would see him in some of his early televised performances and whatnot, and he gets real like sloppy and wild and like trying to close the show. And you got to keep in mind, that's how Pacquiao got knocked out in the Marquez fight. He was clearly winning the round. He could have been on the stool and in between catching his breath and stuff and listening to corner advice from Freddie Roach, and he got too confident and did something dumb, and then he got clipped by Marquez with the perfectly timed right, and it's murder she wrote. And against a guy like Julio Diaz, he said he had trouble making weight, even though he was fighting on, I think his best days were in the lighter divisions. Like I told you guys that. He's still a veteran. You got to give the man respect. He comes from a fight family, still a veteran. He knocked Amir Khan down. And granted, I know Amir Khan's chin is questionable, but we still haven't seen Keith Thurman, his chin ultimately tested. A lot of people feel that power. I mean, we did see it tested in the Diego Chavez fight a bit, but ultimately, I still want to see some more fighters who aren't afraid of his power. Like a Sean Porter would be a hell of a fight. And that's my only downside to Keith Thurman that I've seen. Sometimes he backs straight up, which is bad because you can get clipped. If he gets in there with an accurate counter puncher, I see those are going to be puzzles for him. And I think he was forced to adapt in the Diego Chavez fight. He was trying to brawl, and then brawling wasn't working 100%, so he went to boxing. And again, against a guy like Julio Diaz, a veteran, I think he should have just continued boxing, and then the knockout probably would have came, because I don't think Julio Diaz, I just think he's been in too many wars, got knocked out plenty of times in the lower weight divisions. Kendall Holt is a power puncher at 140, but he's going up in weight. So taking nothing away from Julio Diaz, he's tough and whatnot, but I just seen him getting stopped either way. Even if it didn't end in this way, I just would have rather it ended. It's kind of like Victor Ortiz versus Floyd Mayweather. It leaves a sour taste in your mouth because you want to see a fight end in a more conventional way. Same thing with Mikey Garcia versus Orlando Salido. When the headbutt broke Mikey Garcia's nose, I just hate when fights end. It's just like, what if? And you have to kind of figure out what would have happened. And again, it was Julio Diaz's best round prior to him calling the fight off. So great performance by Keith Thurman. I think he just needs to improve in terms of don't get so reckless. Don't get so wild when you're getting happy. You see you got your opponent hurt, because at the end of the day, that's when most opponents are most dangerous, when they're hurt. You know what I mean? If you get a dog and you back him up into a corner, then the dog's going to it's either fight or flight. The dog's either going to bite you or let you attack it, or whatever the situation is. So Keith Thurman needs to watch out for that, especially as he moves up in caliber. Opponents, Sean Porter, guys like that, they're getting experience and learning at a pro level, fighting the likes of Devin Alexander, Paulie Malignaggi, Julio Diaz twice, etc. So they become more dangerous too. Hell of a night of boxing. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, drank some beers. Let me know what you guys think of this fight card. I'll do a separate video about Molina and Matisse because it was worth that. And let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.